Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Now this week's reading vlog, we started off with really good intentions. Okay, we tried. Did we succeed? No. During my work weeks, I typically don't read as much as I want to, so I'm always looking for ways to make myself not only be more productive, but make myself stop doom scrolling as much during the week as I do. So I thought that this week would be a really good time to at least try to read 200 pages a day. See, I'm laughing even just thinking about this because clearly I failed, but I at least read more during the week than I normally do. So this week is going to be just a very chatty, very chatty weekly reading vlog in which I attempt to read more than I do. But in either case, let's spend the week together and let's talk about the books that I did at least read. This shirt is very stained. Oh well. Good morning friends and happy Monday. Now I do have some reading updates for you all. My younger sister came to town this weekend and we went prom dress shopping and it was an absolute blast. But what that means is that I didn't actually film any updates for you guys. However, I have been reading. So let's talk about the substantial progress that I have made so far. I am currently, I think, 397 pages into City of Gods and Monsters, and you guys, I am absolutely absolutely gagged by this book. I'm having so much fun with it. This book is exactly what I needed. I think that I had a very healthy expectation for what this book was going to be, but knowing now that so many people dislike this book and being able to kind of appropriately set expectations of maybe this isn't going to be the most perfect writing style, but we're just going to sit back, we're going to close our eyes, and we're just going to vibe with this book. And that's exactly what I have been doing. And it honestly, I specifically did not want to buy the physical edition because, again, I had the Kindle edition and I wanted to read it and so many people have not liked it, so I didn't want to buy the physical edition. I want to buy the physical edition. Okay, this book is honestly so fun. I think you really either like urban fantasy or you kind of don't. If you're the kind of person who really likes it, I feel like you have really good odds of really quite liking this book. Now, I can also see how some people would not necessarily love the amount of connection that this kind of has to Crescent City. You know, we're in a city, we're running around, there's an investigation that's occurring and our girly pop is at the center of it, and in waltzes in a very handsome male stranger who is just his little sweetie pie, and I'm just really enjoying the dynamic between our two main characters, as well as the dynamic between him and all of his friends, and the dynamic that she's having with him and his friends, and then the dynamic that she has with her existing friends. I'm really into it. I also, Saturday, I sat down and I was anticipating reading just a little bit. I watched the beginning Ramadan sprints and I was anticipating editing a video that I still have not edited. I was anticipating watching a little bit and then starting to edit, and then that would be that. And then I could not stop reading. I literally could not peel my eyeballs away from my Kindle. Like, it was so fun and just so bingeable, and I was anticipating it to be a bit chunkier feeling, and no, I'm just absolutely having the best time with it. So that is City of Gods and Monsters. I cannot wait to read more of this book. However, I also picked up another book called A Court of Nightmares. Now, this book initially was put on my radar because my Barnes & Noble actually carries a physical edition, and I'm very curious because my Barnes & Noble does not carry indie copies, especially indie fantasy, very often. So whoever was shopping clearly was into that book, so I was like, okay, well, I want to be into that book. And then I was looking on Audible through their Plus library because Podium just dropped a whole ton more audiobooks. This book was in their Audible Plus library, so I went ahead and started it. The beginning is very I don't know, I felt like I wasn't really connected to the character before she started going through all these really hard times, and so then when she was going through these really hard times, I was just kind of that sucks for her. I wasn't necessarily invested. But then it started to get fun. This book is so aggressively spicy. Okay, if you're someone who doesn't love spice for spice's sake, this book is not going to be the book for you. This book is basically vampires that have a whole bunch of magical powers. There's also one of her, 7 of them. Okay, and that's what you get. Okay, it's been fun. I'm 40% of the way through it. The plot is finally starting to kick in, and I'm definitely glad that we're starting to get something other than just spice on spice on spice, which that has also been kind of fun, but also I do just need more in my books. So hopefully we're going to get a little bit more plot, but I think that the plot that we're going to get is actually very interesting. So you have your 7 judges, essentially. She is now the 8th judge. They have been tasked with essentially saving the world. She has also been brand new blessed with some new magical powers. So she's learning the new powers that she has. She's also learning the new world that she's in, along with all of these new relationships that she's in. So it's entertaining. Okay, rather entertaining. It's not really pop melancholy. The vibe is that these 7 men have been in the same like castle, low-key kind of trap, like, but they are only allowed to feed off of each other. So they, you know, feeding and lust, being involved into the same activity, as is with many books that thoroughly feature blood drinking, if you will. So they definitely interact, though they aren't necessarily in a relationship, but they all are bonded because they all are kings. So it's like, it's a very interesting dynamic. However, it's less of the dynamic about the men, between the men, and it's more so about, what is our main character's name? I don't even know her name. It's clearly not important. Our female main character and all the men. So, males, men, vampires, I don't know. So I started the audiobook, and then I got through all of the perspectives where it was in her point of view, and then it switched over to one of the men, and I didn't necessarily like love the audiobook, and I was also trying to read faster than I could really hear the male's voice because his voice was so deep. So I ended up switching to physically Kindle reading it, and I ended up binging 40% of that book last night. Like, I was not prepared to have the book take off in the way that it did. So I am 40% of the way through that book. I am 400 pages through The Way of City of Gods and Monsters, and I'm vibing. We're starting March off with a bang. Quite literally. And we're having a good time. I cannot get over that. It's so sad. This is my favorite sweatshirt. I don't anticipate in getting any audiobook listening time while at work today. So what that means is that when I clock out of work, we'll have some reading to be done together. So I will see you guys this evening. Hello friends and happy Tuesday. I come to you today as none other than a failure. Yesterday, by the time that I got off of work at 6, I had this like alumni association meeting situation last night at 6:30, which didn't last until 7:30. By the time 7:30 rolled around, I then needed to eat dinner, but then I also needed to edit my Romanticathon video. Now I've been struggling to get not only my computer loaded, but also every time that I edit something on my iPad, my app just crashes. So I spent all of last night in an absolute rage trying to get technology to work for me when it in fact wouldn't. However, I did at least listen to 3 pages. So I guess it at least is not none. However, yesterday was a big fat giant fail. I'm anticipating today to at least be partially also a fail. I have not posted a video in 2 weeks because I can't get my editing situation to work. My computer just like keeps spinning wheel of death 24/7, and also my iPad every time that I edit something. And yes, I have removed the Final Cut Pro app from my iPad and reinstalled it, and it just it's being silly, okay? So that is definitely like an emergency level priority for me the rest of this week, trying to get a literal video out. It's been 2 weeks since I posted something because I literally cannot get technology to work for me. However, we are putting really good intentions out into the world that tonight we're going to get everything sorted, and hopefully I'll get everything sorted sooner rather than later because everything is edited. I just can't get it exported. So hopefully I can get everything exported, and then we'll get to read some tonight. However, all I want to do is read City of Gods and Monsters so bad. Court of Nightmares sounds fun and like great, cool, whatever. And I'm getting into the plot point, but I'm not really connected to that story. Where City of Gods and Monsters, I'm like, I want to read it immediately. So I'm putting it out into the universe now. Okay, it's currently lunchtime, so I figured I'd just check in with you guys, and that way this evening I could get to work. So I'm going to get everything edited and uploaded tonight, and it's going to happen. And then I'm going to have a silly goofy time reading my silly goofy little books, and it's going to be so fun. And I will read more than 3 pages. And you know what? 3 pages? I read at least 3 pages. Okay, I'm considering that progress over absolutely nothing. This is really nice. We should hug like this more often. I'm counting a literal 3 pages as a win, okay? 3 pages is more than 0. So did I read yesterday? Yes, I did. Did I read much? No. Am I going to count it as a success? Yes. So hopefully tonight I can read at least a little bit more than 3 pages, but honestly, as long as I read something, works for me. So I'm going to attempt to give this dog some attention. I'm going to find something to lunch. And while I do that, I'm going to pop on my audiobook so I at least have a little bit of progress. My fear with audiobooks sometimes during lunch, I only have a 30-minute lunch. So if I start an audiobook and I get really into it, then I have to stop, and then I get annoyed that I had to stop. I hate doing that. So a lot of times I just don't end up listening to anything during lunch, but it's a perfect time to be listening to something. It can also be reading progress, but then also reading at least a little bit here and there is better than not reading at all. Like sometimes you just have to not, but then other times it's a perfect time. I do think I want to continue reading City of Gods and Monsters with my eyeballs and not listen to that audiobook just yet. Although I'm going to finish Court of Nightmares. Is that what it's called? I think so. I'm going to finish that, and then if I end up finishing that and I don't have anything else to start, then I might switch over to that audiobook. So we're going to attempt to make teeny tiny little bits of progress, and we're going to count that as a win. Okay, so I've officially finished Court of Nightmares, and I don't know what I'm gonna read this book. I think parts of it were really, really fun and entertaining, and then other parts of it were just kind of like,
Okay, so this book is part reverse harem, part Wei Chu's, part poly in a couple cases. So there's definitely just like a lot of things going on with all of the relationships in this book. Cool. There are so many. I don't even. Okay, I'm gonna tread carefully here. I think that the main issue that I had with this story, and I think that's just part of why Choose is so much fun to me, but also I have a little bit of a harder time with it, especially when there are 7 men, is that you have to get into those relationships so quickly that you don't necessarily have a ton of time to really connect with these characters and to really get invested in their storyline for me to really root for anybody. So by the time that we get these big confessionals, which we got 7 of them, the confessionals, had I had been more connected to the characters, I would have been like, yes, clapping along. So if you're somebody who likes a confessional but who also likes fast burn, this is going to be it for you. However, if you are apparently someone like me who likes slow burn more, so you like the angst, you like the tension, this one's not it. However, this one is just silly goofy. So this one also, surprisingly, I was not anticipating it to be more monster romance than just like straight up vampires, which was kind of entertaining. Each of these vampires, the vampires in this world are not just vampires, they all have a little something different. So this book surprisingly leans very monster romance in a lot of cases, and I was like, that's not what I was expecting to get out of this, but okay. It's been a while since I have read something like super spicy, especially like in the more dark, kinky monster romance realm, that this kind of caught me off guard. And which direction, I can't decide. Like, good direction, bad direction, I'm unsure. However, we did finish this book. Now, I really liked different elements of this storyline, especially the overall plot that we were going to, I thought was really interesting. And it felt like there was actually kind of a plot with this. But then at the very end, the stakes were just so low overall. Like, it just kind of set up a world in which we could run around killing people for funsies, and it was okay because we were the judges. And we could get away with that because the gods like us and we are the gods' chosen ones. And we're all a family, so we're all going to be healed from our past traumas. And I think that it was really entertaining how each of the characters had a very different background. And there were some interesting conversations around our past and like moving forward. There was oddly a couple healing journeys in here, which I was not really prepared for. I felt like we really just glazed over the surface of everything because while this book was 47 pages long, it was also 7 men long, if you know what I'm saying. So this was a very quick and easy read, and also I did end up picking the audiobook back up just a little bit, but I just could not with the male narrator, so I ended up reading this one actually mostly on my phone, so it was time. However, because this technically is sorta an urban fantasy, like it's set in a modern day, but most of the story is set kind of off secluded in the court of nightmares, but it is set in a modern world, so I, for the purposes of Realmathon, am counting it as an urban setting. So I need to go through the Realmathon prompts and figure out if I'm going to use this as an attacking or a points giving book, but I will go through the prompts, so I will let you guys know later what I end up using this for after I look at those points. However, we did in fact read today absolute crap ton of pages, which I was not expecting. So 547, we were at like 263 today. So I read nearly 284 pages today. I did make up like 84 pages from yesterday's failed journey. I did also go to Best Buy looking for a cord for my external hard drive because I think that's 90% of the problem, and that no cords. So we tried. So no editing happened today, but some audiobook listening happened today. I did also leave the house today. So I'm seeing wins all the way around. However, it's currently almost 11:40 p.m. which means it is past time for me to start getting ready for bed. So today's definitely been a successful day in our reading challenge with a little bit of making up from yesterday. So hopefully we will continue our momentum on into tomorrow. Hello friends and happy Friday. It is officially lunchtime and I am just now attempting to get ready for the day, but we have a couple updates for you. This week has been the kind of week where I've gotten through, okay? And we're officially getting through. However, I've got a couple of fun things to unbox, and I also have some reading updates. Number one, I figured we could do this one first, given that, wow, I feel like this is so close to me. It's fine, we're friends here anyways. Number one, I finally got my Realmathon bookmarks. I also ordered a couple other fun things because I couldn't help myself. Thanks for visiting Carrion City. Honestly, I really probably should have worn my Realmathon sweatshirt that I have not broken out yet, but I'll probably wear it tomorrow. So, number one, I obviously had to get the Cowboy Romance bookmark. Also, she's thick. Okay, A+. beautiful, stunning. I love her. I'm so excited to use her. Then we also have our actual Ramadan bookmarks. These holographic ones are... Not only are they absolutely stunning, amazing, beautiful, like, are you kidding? They're also just, I feel like these are going to last really well. Like, they're really good. Thick boys. So the whole reason I wanted to open up these, obviously because they're beautiful and I needed to see them with my eyeballs, but also we have a reading update. So recap from the last couple days, day before yesterday, I ended up reading, or whatever day that was, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. It's Friday now, right? I'm unsure. However, a couple days ago, I read 300 pages of Court of Nightmares. I finished that out. I didn't ever end up picking up City Gods and Monsters again. I want to say that for this week and absolutely binge read the heck out of it, and I'm so excited. And then I also I picked up the Half King. I read like 20 or so pages, and I was like, listen, I'm not vibing with this, so I put that down. I ended up editing a video, and now we're here. So has this reading challenge been a great daily challenge? No. But everything's fine because everything's fine and it's gonna be fine, okay? I last night ended up minor baby road tripping last minute to go see my parents, and I got some groceries from them because my dad and my sister are going to be leaving town for basically like 2 weeks. They had a whole bunch of groceries, and also I just wanted, my dad made baby broccoli, I wanted leftovers, and I said, hey, where's my leftovers? And he said, meet you in 30, and I said, okay. So I ended up driving a whole bunch, and I needed a random audiobook, and I actually had the Strange Hymn audiobook, and I've been wanting to get back to the series for a hot minute just because I feel like I have these really cool pretty indie editions that are sitting right there staring at me, and I've yet to actually pick them up. So I finally picked them up, and honestly the audiobook has been kind of a vibe. I was kind of confused at first because it has been a while since I have read Rhapsodic. It's been probably maybe like 2 years now. I remember reading it for Sahar's. Actually, she had her Romanacy book club that was over on Discord. I read that with her book club, and then I never ended up continuing on with the series because I just got distracted, as I do. But we're back, and I'm kind of enjoying it. I made it to, unfortunately, did I make my 200 page mark? No. Did I make 192 pages? I think I'm somewhere left off around this point. I fell asleep listening to the audiobook, and this feels right-ish. I think this is where I left off. However, I'm oddly enjoying this book, and I think it's because I was half tempted listening to Zodiac Academy, but I wasn't in like a full silly goofy mood. But this book is like minor silly goofy because she's in a new environment, we can say, and she's like, man, I really miss home. I'm feeling kind of homesick. I miss my bed. I miss things like being normal. I miss Netflix. And I was like, and I laughed, and I wasn't anticipating laughing. And I think it was because I was driving down a really straight road for a really long time, and it was dark, and I was kind of like caught off guard that it was so funny. And there was another line in here that I remember actually cackling out loud at, and I was like, what is happening? Now I do think that the main love interest, I'm not like completely like locked and loaded on Des. Callie, very much so. She's had some things happen to her, unfortunately. She has been through some things, and she's kind of resetting herself and kind of reorientating herself in this world and like what she is currently doing and all of those really crazy things. And so she's kind of being very stubborn about it, which I kind of love because I feel like I would do that to you. Like I would be like, I don't want to train. I don't want to. And so Des is being able to use like his bargainer capacity in a way that feels actually better done than, like, it could have gone in a really not so great direction, but I feel like the direction that we're going in has been really fun, and I'm very much so entertained. I do think that because I waited so long to pick this book up, that it is hitting more so than if I had not. However, we're checking a book off of my physical TBR, which is good because I also this month wanted to film another TBR takedown, which has been a while. I did my first episode, and then I kind of felt like my TBR was good, and I'm feeling more so inspired to read certain things on my TBR like this. So we're doing good. I read 192 pages, which is not 200, but it's close enough for me to count yesterday as a success. Did I need to put makeup on? No. Did I kind of need to feel alive? Yeah, I did. I have the audiobook for Zodiac Academy 3 part 1, the graphic audio, that I'm so absolutely jazzed about, and my hold is going to expire, and I was actually able to renew my hold, so I thought I was gonna have to listen to that, but now I have a little bit more time to listen to it, and I'm like, so I think I'm gonna keep saving that in the background. But I'm so excited to read that. But I was also excited to read A Strange Hymn because I was finally in the mood for it, I think. But then I'm also really in the mood to start City of Brass, but then I'm also in the mood for City of Monsters, and I'm just in this weird moment where I want to read everything, which almost makes life a little bit harder because then I have to actually pick what I want to read, so that I end up not necessarily reading much. But I also do feel like, because I knew that I just kind of needed to pick something and just sit down and read this week, the times that I did, it has made things much more successful, because I feel like normally at this point I probably would not have read hardly anything in the middle of the week, especially when the week has been this like mentally crazy busy and stuff. I wouldn't have read anything. Like, I've been working super like this week, and in previous weeks I probably would have just like let that throw me off, but this week has been actually good, like, because I knew that I wanted to read something and I needed to read something. It is maybe actually in fact read something, which has been really good. Like, I feel like this week could have been much crazier, and because we have successfully implemented more escapism than not, things are going good. Your girl desperately needs to wash my hair. We are like completely matted under here, in case you're curious. It's just the vibes are, honestly, they're kind of vibing at this point. Anyways, I'm going to go attempt to go microwave something for lunch really quick. I am going to go finish up my last little half day of work. We this evening are going to kick back. We're going to have a fabulous Friday evening, and I will check in back with you tomorrow. Hello friends, and a happy Saturday. We've officially made it to Saturday. I last night absolutely rotted. I'm like, what did I actually do last night? What did I do last night? I clocked into work and I was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna go ahead, and while I still have at least like 2% of energy, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hair, do the whole everything shower thing, and then because my sheets were already in the dryer, I was going to be able to make my bed, climb into clean, fresh sheets, and it was going to be a great night. And it was in fact a great night. I also managed to get some laundry done. I got my bed made, obviously, showered, hair washed, and all the good things. But then I caught up on quite a few booktube videos, which I was having so much fun watching. I then proceeded to, I guess my hair towel knocked off one of my earrings, and so then I proceeded to struggle for the next 30 minutes trying to put an earring back on. So so by the time I was done being productive and I had fixed the situation, I started watching booktube, and then I was like, I really just feel like I just want to catch up with all the besties, okay? I just would really rather just watch BookTube right now. So I ended up just watching BookTube for a little bit, and then I went to sleep, and it was glorious. So as far as how this week went in terms of a challenge, I did challenge myself, and it was in fact a challenge. Did I successfully succeed at the challenge? I mean, maybe. I read more during the week this week than I generally do, and to me that sounds like a success. Okay. I also just being able to mood read this week and just kind of like pick up whatever I wanted to was the vibe. Okay, it was definitely the vibe this week. But now I feel ready to dive into this next week, but then also a couple other reading vlogs that I do have planned this month. So I feel like we're doing good. So if you're interested in my final thoughts on some of these books that I started and did not finish, feel free to stick around. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and we will definitely be circling back. I haven't quite decided which of the two vlog options that I have for this next week, so I'm gonna go do that, go start that intro, and then I will check back in with you guys in the next video. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. If you're ever curious like what an actual genuine like realistic reading week looks like for me, kind of this, also kind of not this, a little bit less than this, but also very much so I binge read and then I read nothing for days. So all in all, we ended up reading like 200 pages of A Strange Hymn, which is a book that I have been wanting to pick up but have been putting off for a very long time. We finally started a book that I am very excited. Like, it is very, very similar to Crescent City. It is, but I also love Crescent City, and I feel like this is the second chance for a Crescent City style series for me. I don't know, I'm feeling really good about it. And we also read Quarter Nightmares, which has been intriguing to me for a while. I think it's starting to rain outside. What a lovely day. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have made it this far into the video, go ahead and leave like the little muscle emoji maybe, because I feel like we took on a challenge this week. Okay, we took it on. Did we succeed? I don't know. Probably, question, yes and no. Kind of a little bit, questionably, but we tried, okay? And that's all that matters. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fabulous, great rest of your day or night, wherever you are. I'm gonna continue getting ready, and I will check back in with you in the next one.